If you're new to Hack the Box, one of the very first things you're going to want to learn how to do is to connect to our VPN. Now, you may have heard of a VPN before in the context of security or privacy when browsing the internet, but our VPN serves a more specific purpose. By connecting to our VPN, you can gain access to our internal lab networks, which then will let you access the machines that you spawn on our labs. Now, in Hack the Box, we have several different labs on offer, one of which is Starting Point. This lab is oriented towards beginners and offers starting point machines with thorough walkthroughs. We also have the Machines Lab, which is where our weekly release machines live. These are the machines that come out every Saturday. For every lab on Hack the Box, we provide a different VPN file, and when you want to access content on a specific lab, you'll need to download the VPN file for that lab. For example, let's say I wanted to work on Meow from the Starting Point lab. In order to do this, I would first navigate to the VPN selection menu in the upper right-hand corner, and I would select Starting Point from the listed options. Here, I'm given two more options. I can either connect from OpenVPN, which will give me a VPN file I can download, and then I can use my own virtual machine installed on my computer to then go ahead and work on the labs and connect to the VPN, but I'm also given the option to spawn a Pwnbox instance. Pwnbox is a virtual machine that we provide in the browser. It negates the need for you to have your own virtual machine, and it's automatically connected to the VPN. Now, this is a VIP and VIP Plus feature, but free users do have a 2-hour trial of it if you want to check it out and see if maybe it's for you. For now, let's select OpenVPN. We can see that we're given the option to select a region and a server. Now, I'll select the US Starting Point region, and there's only one server at the moment, so I will select that. I have two options for protocol. In most cases, you can leave this as is. However, if you find yourself having some networking issues, you might want to try switching over to the TCP 443 protocol as a debugging step. Now that I've selected my VPN server, I can go ahead and hit Download VPN. In my Downloads folder, we can see that I now have a starting point ryng.ovpn file. This is my VPN config, and it's what I'll use to connect to the Starting Point network using OpenVPN. On my own computer, I have Parrot Security installed to a VMware Workstation virtual machine. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how to install a virtual machine, I have a dedicated article on the subject, but for now, what I'm going to do next is drag over that VPN file that I downloaded into my virtual machine. The next step is for me to open up a terminal, and because I moved that VPN file to my desktop, I'm going to cd into my desktop folder in the terminal, and now I'm going to run sudo openvpn and then the name of the VPN file that I downloaded. I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to ask me for my sudo password. And we can see after I hit enter that OpenVPN gives me initialization sequence completed. This means that you are successfully connected to the VPN network. You want to leave this terminal window running the entire time that you want to remain connected to the VPN. If you were to Control-C or close this terminal window, your VPN connection would also be terminated. In another terminal tab, I'll type IPA, and this will give me IP configuration information for my virtual machine. Now, your connection on our VPN network should be named TUN0. This is Tunnel 0, and you should only have one of these. If you have TUN1 or TUN2, you might have multiple OpenVPN connections running, in which case I would recommend rebooting your VM to be sure that those are cleared out and then reconnecting afterwards. We can see that I was given the 10.10.14.49 IP address on the VPN network. This is the IP address of my virtual machine on the Hack the Box network. I can test that I'm properly connected by pinging my gateway at 10.10.14.1, and you can see that I'm getting a response from the gateway, which means, once again, that I am successfully connected to the VPN server. At this point, if I navigate back to the Hack the Box website, I now have the ability to spawn the Meow machine. I was given an IP address for my machine of 10.129.1.119. This is the IP address of Meow on the network that I spawned. Back in my virtual machine, if I type ping 10.129.1.119, I get a response from the machine, which means that I have access to the machine that I spawned on the network and everything is working fine. From this point, I can continue on working on the machine. In the case of Starting Point machines, there will always be a walkthrough that you can open and view, which will provide you step-by-step instructions on how to solve the machine. If I then wanted to work on a box from the Machines lab, such as for GOTS, I would need to navigate to the OpenVPN selection menu and select Machines. My Starting Point VPN file would not be able to connect to the Machines lab because it is a completely separate network. Some important things to note are that you can download a VPN file for different labs at the same time, but if I were to go into Starting Point and switch my region from US to EU, this would generate me a new VPN file on the Starting Point lab, and the old one I had downloaded previously would no longer work. You also can only be connected to a given VPN file on one device at a time. You can't connect to the VPN on your virtual machine and on your host at the same time. We also would strongly recommend that you connect to the VPN from your virtual machine and not from your host. If you were to try to connect from your host, it would seem to work at first, but you'd run into problems later on down the line that would make your life harder than it needs to be. If at any point you run into any issues, we do have dedicated articles for VPN troubleshooting on our help center at help.hackthebox.com, and you can also reach out to customer support via the support chat at any time. You can do that by navigating to the customer support button in the bottom left corner and clicking on it. This will bring up the support chat. Keep in mind that in order to do this, you will need to have ad block disabled. Best of luck getting connected to our labs, and happy hacking.